We all know those GLP-1 injections work wonders, but that price tag almost gave me a heart attack when my insurance denied coverage. I was staring at a choice between paying my mortgage or paying for weight loss. Talk about a rock and a hard place. Then I found Elevate Health compounded semaglutide at just $58 with payment plans that don't require a second mortgage. Same medication, same results, but a price that real folks can actually afford. Visit joinelevate.com today. That's JOINELEVATE.com. Your wallet will be as happy as your waistline. This medication is not FDA approved.
Do you love movies? So do I. What's up, y'all? It's KB, and I love movies, inviting you to listen to The Conversation, a film podcast where passion meets perspective and opinion. From the old school to the new, I invite a guest on to discuss the movies that thrill us, challenge us, break our hearts, or even blow our minds. There's always new episodes dropping wherever you get your podcasts. So join the conversation. We don't just watch movies. We love talking about them too. The Conversation with KB Loves Movies, a part of Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
It's astounding. Time is fleeting. Madness takes its toll. But listen closely.
Not for very much longer.
I've got to keep control.
I remember doing the time war, drinking those moments when the blackness would hit me and the void would be calling. Let's do the time war again.
I'm John Lee.
I'm Marc Hall.
And staff writer Zach Wickwire.
So this week we're going to be talking about the Rocky Horror Picture Show and the sequel, Shock Treatment. But before we get to the main attraction, have you guys been watching anything of note this week?
Nothing new for me. I have been just binging on Law and Order, which
Still,
yeah. Well, good God, there's 17 years of it, so that's my life, man.
I haven't watched much recently either. I've been a little busy.
What about you, Zach?
Since the last time we spoke.
Pretty much the same. I've been busy, so I just haven't really had time to sit down and watch anything.
Yeah, this is a busy time of the year, gearing back up for school and whatnot. So, not really any news of note to talk about at the moment. So let's just get right into the movies. So, the Rocky Horror Picture Show came out in 1975. It is directed by Jim Sharman, written by Richard O'Brien, the original musical play. Jim Sharman adapted it for the screen. Features Tim Curry, Susan Sarandon, Barry Bostwick, Richard O'Brien, Patricia Quinn, Nell Campbell, a whole lot of people. And the IMDb synopsis is, a newly engaged couple have a breakdown in an isolated area and must pay a call to the bizarre residence of Dr. Frankenfurter.
You've seen all kinds of movies, but you've never seen anything like the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
They're probably foreigners with ways different than our own.
I'm just a sweet transvestite.
See the Rocky Horror Picture Show. A different set of jaws.
It has become a cult phenomenon since it was released in 1975 and has been shown countless times as a midnight movie. It is one of the original midnight movies.
It has the longest theater run of all time.
Right.
It's been showed once a week in a German theater since it was released in 1975.
Right. Mark, had you seen the film before, and what are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. I've probably seen Rocky Horror probably 25 times, honestly. We're here in Lincoln, we have a local theater that plays Rocky Horror at midnight on Fridays, and I've gone to their stage adaptation multiple times and even seen it at home multiple times. If not my favorite movie of all time, definitely up there. I absolutely love it.
What about you, Zach?
This was only my second time seeing it. The first time was at the midnight showing here in town. I did really enjoy the movie, and I gotta say, like, second watch, maybe it's because we watched it in high def versus seeing the old film reel downtown, or I guess not downtown, but there's just so many more details and like just everything that you see when you're watching it that I noticed just so much stuff that I didn't catch on my initial viewing that kind of makes me want to watch it again at some point just to kind of see if there's anything else I can't catch on a third watch through.
What about you, John?
I had never seen the movie. It was one of those movies that sort of had a stigma in my household of being weird, and it's definitely a weird movie. And it also didn't help that for some reason in my head for the longest time, I thought that it and Eraserhead were the same movie.
Oh, which they are totally not.
Right.
Holy shit.
I had only heard of them both as being really weird and seeing clips of them and thinking, yeah, that is really weird. And so I had just sort of connected them in my head for some reason. I don't know why. So I had never watched the movie, but a year ago, I went to see a stage version of it, live theater production in Dallas that was really awesome. The audience participation stuff was great. The show itself was great. The stage had some really intricate and interesting set pieces. They had a staircase that raised up and the underside looked like a giant pink dick that shot confetti out of the tip. I mean, they went all out and it was awesome. And then this is the first time that I sat down and watched the whole movie of the Rocky Horror Picture Show with Tim Curry. And it's entertaining. It's an enjoyable musical. It's weird but fun. I like the satire of it. The music is cool. I think I already said that. The performances are all really good too. But I think my enjoyment of it might have been decreased because I saw a stage version first. And also, watching it by myself at home, I didn't really get the audience participation. There was no throwing toilet paper, squirt guns, people saying slut every time somebody on stage says Janet. And I think that's a definite detractor from the entertainment value of the movie when you're watching it alone.
I agree. That being said, I saw the film the first time in October of my freshman year of college. My roommate Sean and I, who's been on this podcast a couple times, we actually turned it off halfway through because we were like, "All right, this is fucking weird. We're not in the right mindset to watch this," and we turned it off. Fast forward to later in the month, we sat down and rewatched it, and it is one of the few films that I have fond memories of whenever I think of it, and I think about my friends and I watching it. My last year in Columbia, Missouri, we went down to the theater that's in downtown, and we went and saw it on Halloween live, and with the audience participation and people dancing around, and it was people in costume. It was just one of those things that you remember the first time you see it that way, and every other time will never be as good as that one time. That being said, the film is great. I love the music. Tim Curry's performance is absolutely insane in the best way. I can understand why he wanted to distance himself from that role for the longest time. More recently, he's been more willing to talk about it and more appreciative of the fan base and the way they feel about it. But I can understand not wanting to have anything to do with it. It was this little movie I made where I dressed up as a woman. I can get it, but I'm with Mark that this is probably one of my favorite movies. Just from a nostalgia standpoint and just kind of relevance for me and kind of shaped me during my college years. And I watched it at the right time. If I had watched it when I was like 15 or 16, I probably would not have enjoyed it. But when I watched it when I was like 18, kind of in the college years of my life, it had an impact on me. So, it's a strange movie. I think that the strangeness of the film is why it still is watched once a week somewhere, like here in Lincoln, obviously.
It is kind of an interesting point you bring up that it was kind of a coming of age film for you. I mean, I had a similar experience, where I also, as you said, watched it at the right time. And yeah, I mean, kind of hearing you say that, thinking back, if I would have watched it probably any point in my life, I don't think I would have gotten it or appreciated how unique and bizarre it is. Cause I mean, you take it at face value, as a movie. And I mean, imagine, putting yourself in a theater in the 80s when this movie came out. And,
this movie actually came out in the 70s.
Excuse me, the 70s. Yeah. Excuse me, the 70s. Sitting in that theater and, it's kind of bad and cheesy. And then all of a sudden here's unknown Tim Curry singing about being from the planet transsexual. I mean, it's not a movie for everyone by any stretch. So.
Well, and you mentioned the kind of campiness and cheesiness of the film. That is all intentional, obviously.
Of course.
It's very much a send-up of the RKO films of the 40s and 50s, the horror films, where the villains were clear-cut and there was a good guy and a bad guy, and, there was the damsel in distress and there was a monster. But the film does some things with those ideas that I think is pretty interesting and that work really well. I mean, the initial song in the film Science Fiction Double Feature, it goes as far as to talk about those movies in the song. And I mean, at the end of the day, the film is almost a love letter to horror fans, but also fans of musicals. Because it's a horror musical that, I mean, doesn't have really that much horror in it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't know what part of it is actual horror, but
I feel like it more or less uses the genre of the B horror movies as the format for its satire of, its message.
Right. It uses something you're familiar with and then completely subverts that in an interesting way. I mean, as opposed to having the mad scientist just be a mad scientist, he's a transsexual
alien.
Yeah. Well, you find out at the end. Yeah, you find out at the end.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked, forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster. The Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week, and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
He's an alien. But he's a transsexual who wants to...
Spoilers.
Yeah. He's a transsexual who's trying to make Frankenstein so that he can have sex with Frankenstein. Or he's trying to make a monster, Frankenstein's monster, so that he can have sex with Frankenstein's monster.
It's really funny. I had said to Zach when we were watching it last night, that it's a movie. It's kind of hard to describe the plot to somebody that hasn't seen it. And I mean, I have honest to God never heard the plot of that movie described so eloquently and so well. It's a mad scientist making Frankenstein so he can have sex with it.
Yeah, and then you have
but then also trying to warp the two sort of innocents that stumble into the castle. Right.
Which, for me, there are so many great characters in this movie and great performances that, we at the end of talking about the movie, we always do this best performance thing, and I'm going to have a hard time when we come to that, but everyone involved in this movie totally bought into it. And
oh yeah.
I don't think there was a single person in this movie who was like, yeah, I'm not down for this. I mean, Tim Curry is walking around in a pantyhose and, it's just
corset.
Yeah. And lingerie. I don't know how many actors in 75 would have been like, yeah, I'll do that. Sure, why not?
Especially when you consider how, blatantly homosexual he was acting for a lot of the film.
Right. But it's one of those movies that it is hard to talk about it in generalities because there aren't a lot of generalities that you can use to describe a movie like this. It does a lot of things that most other movies don't do. It has, one of the main characters having sex with a man, because the man is dressed up like a woman. His his fiance. I mean, that kind of stuff doesn't happen in other movies. And they use the filter of comedy to obviously kind of make it more approachable for most people. But there's a lot of, like, pretty crazy stuff happening in this movie.
I mean, it's go ahead.
I was just going to say, I mean, it's a commentary on the sexual repression of, not only American society, but sort of the world as a whole, and also the way that at the time period, the sort of straight men, quote unquote, looked at anyone with different sort of sexual preferences or desires or feelings from them, which is why it works so well in the B horror movie late night film genre format, because the way that society viewed, and to an extent still does view, people with not straight heterosexual sexual orientations is a sort of parallel, I guess, to, in the commentary of the film, to the way that the good guys in the movies viewed the weird mad scientists or the crazy aliens or the Triffids or, that kind of thing. And that's why it lends itself so well to the format, is because it's a commentary on how we as a culture view those that don't fit the sort of standard norm.
And that's why I feel like it's so successful as a film, is because it's not your typical musical for just, musicals have a stigma attached to them that they're for a specific kind of person and only a specific kind of person will enjoy them. Like Grease, the kind of people who enjoy Grease, I'm not sure they enjoy this movie. You know what I mean?
I would be surprised.
Right? Because this movie is about two characters that could have been from Grease getting seduced into going gay to some extent. Not so much Susan Sarandon's character, but Barry Bostwick's Brad goes gay in the movie.
Well, Barry Bostwick's character Brad sort of gets in touch with the sort of myriad of physical pleasures that are possible, as opposed to the I only like women who I am married to. And then Sandy, Susan Sarandon's character, not Sandy.
Whoa now.
Janet, Susan Sarandon's character, who is essentially the pure good, quote unquote, Sandy
so Sandy from Grease.
Right. She sort of realizes that, hey, there's one song where she says all she'd done before that is kiss, and anything further than kissing was some horrible thing that she would never do because she was a good person. And she sort of realizes that, there is a whole bunch of other stuff, and it's not a huge deal that I want to bone muscular Rocky.
Yeah. But, John, don't dream it. Be it. Be it. I think that's like the overall message of the film, right? Don't dream it, be it.
I don't know if I can peg a message from the film. I mean,
if you want to look at it in general terms, don't dream it, be it is about as close to a, creed or credo for the people who love this movie. The people who love the idea of this movie, go see it at midnight. Don't dream it, be it. Don't imagine that you're getting in touch with who you are and who you don't want to be because society says don't do that. Which even now society still, there's stigmas towards, they're lessened, obviously, a lot, but, being gay or being, having no gender, no discernible gender, identifying with no discernible gender, like Richard O'Brien, who wrote the screenplay and the film initially, he doesn't identify as any gender at all. It's not that's what this movie is about. It's about embracing that as opposed to just imagining that it's something you want to embrace.
That's slow clap.
And that's why
give him the Emmy, folks.
And that was a very probably concise way to sum up the message and tone of the movie.
Right.
I feel, though, as a big fan, and I remember having the same feeling about Freaked, you almost feel empowered by liking the movie. And you and I, Chris, went into length about this because I had never seen it, and, it was one of your favorite movies prior to this. And we had a discussion about feeling as though we're in an exclusive club of people who get it. That you kind of, if your friends like the movie Freaked, that you're going to be good friends generally.
Right.
And I kind of feel the same way about Rocky Horror. If your friends get it, if your friends like it, or if you get it or like it, you know, you feel like you're in a club, like an exclusive, enlightened club.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not for everybody. And when it initially came out, it was a total flop. It was poorly reviewed. It was looked at as just this weird little movie that came out that served no purpose other than to get more eyes on the stage play. Because obviously the stage play came out before the movie did. The stage play came out 2 years beforehand. But it wasn't what it is now, which is, the midnight movie that all other midnight movies aspire to be.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it was in subject and tone, it was way ahead of its time. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And I don't even think you can make a movie today about a transsexual alien from the planet transsexual. I mean, it would be seen as offensive today.
Yeah, I don't know if I think that if they made a movie with the same sort of message and style today, I think it would still be a flop.
Right.
Just because I don't think the majority of the movie-going audience is open to how intentionally weird Rocky Horror Picture Show is.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, that ties back into feeling empowered for liking the movie. And it takes time. I mean, look at films like The Room or Cannibal Holocaust or other kind of cult.
Cannibal Holocaust? Whoa. I mean, sure.
He's talking about other cult movies.
I know.
I guess.
But to be fair, I'm not sure I've ever run into anyone that's like, I like Cannibal Holocaust too.
I love Cannibal. I love Cannibal Holocaust.
I haven't. I know that you guys like it now. Well, I don't know if John likes it. But
I do. I own it.
Okay.
We talked about this when we were watching the movie.
I just don't remember if you said you liked it or not.
I was disappointed that Cannibal Holocaust was not as graphic as I was expecting. I was expecting to be completely grossed out, and I wasn't. But
it was gross and graphic for then. Now it's like nothing compared to Hostel in like 5 minutes is 10 times more graphic than Cannibal Holocaust ever is.
See, and I felt the same way about Hostel. Hostel, I didn't think was that gross.
Well,
I digress. But I mean, when a movie gets to cult status and you get it, you enjoy it, because somebody can watch The Room and like, or this even, somebody watch this and one of my best friends fucking hates this movie, thinks it's the stupidest thing he's ever seen, and you feel like 5 million other people can't be wrong, because I mean, there's people that see it every week, literally.
Yeah.
So,
and a lot of those people are seeing it for the first time.
Yeah.
It is really kind of interesting to think, though. Like, I think that if this movie had been made today, I think, like you guys said, drawing the kind of parallel to like Cannibal Holocaust and Hostel, I think the movie would fail for different reasons now than it did 40 years ago.
Why do you think it would fail now?
I just feel like there's different things. I think like it was very off-putting back then because of the overt homosexuality and all that. But I think like modern day, I think kind of like what Mark kind of mentioned earlier, I think it would fail more on the whole like transsexual thing and that, because I mean that's just.
Well, isn't that overtly sexual? I mean, it's an overtly sexual movie.
No, I know, and I said overtly homosexual. I think that was what turned a lot of people away before, and I think now. It would just be there would be different aspects of the overt sexuality that would offend people today than what did 40 years ago.
I like how there's a hierarchy of offensive sex.
Well, I mean, I think Zach's right. I mean, if you think about it, I think people now would be offended that maybe they're portraying Frankenfurter in this kind of humorous light, as opposed to taking the plight of transsexuality seriously.
So you think it would flop because people would be offended that it's a joke?
Well,
they would be like, this is a joke. This movie looks at transsexuality like it's not an actual issue.
Right, because in this day and age, there are social justice warriors around every corner. Everybody's a keyboard warrior now for every single social injustice. This movie doesn't put transsexuality in a humorous light. The character that is transsexual is humorous, and a lot of things that he says are funny. But it's not like, oh, look at how weird that guy is. He's the main character of the movie.
But I don't know that his transsexuality, and I guess I don't even know really if the transsexualness is the point. I mean, he's just...
No, but what I'm saying is in this day and age where people get upset about everything, 40 years ago, people didn't... Let's be honest here. 40 years ago, people didn't give a shit about this movie. The small subsection of people that didn't care about the transsexuality. They liked the weirdness of the movie. If they made this movie now, it would be, they'd be run out of town with pitchforks because they're transsexual characters and he's humorous and, they're making somewhat light of transsexuality. And people would take to Reddit and all those other internet forums and go crazy and denounce the film and ask for it to be, locked away in a vault somewhere for no one ever to see, like Songs of the South, because it's offensive.
A stage production of it got shut down in Georgia in 2011.
See?
For being offensive.
See? It's...
Well, but it got it in Georgia where...
But the United States is like that everywhere.
I think it got shut down in Georgia because of the perceived gayness of the play. I mean, not to speak for the entire state of Georgia, but I doubt that they're at the forefront of social justice when it comes to transsexuals.
But don't you think that there is a relatively large movement of people in the United States that are,
They jump down your throat for every wrong thing you say. And they misconstrue it in one way or another. I mean, this is a comedy horror film. If it were made now, that people would be saying that this is the most offensive thing they'd ever seen. And it's, the transsexual characters are having sex with male characters on screen and they're not taking it serious like a lot of these other transsexual source matter that they have now, like Transparent on Amazon, which is winning Emmys and stuff. It has to have drama to it, otherwise you can't talk about transsexuality.
I post Caitlyn Jenner. I mean, yeah, that's the flavor of the week.
I mean, can you imagine if Tu Wong Fu came out in 2015?
But that is like the gay Ben-Hur. I mean,
yeah, but so to some extent, so is this film. This film is a huge part and a huge influence on parts of the gay community.
Oh yeah, I had my first date at a Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I don't know if I think that it would be shut down if it were released now, but I do think there would be a huge outcry on the internet about, how dare AMC show this movie? It's corrupting the minds of the youth, I think there would be a controversy over it. I don't think it would be enough to, kill it or stop people from going to it, because I think that our culture has matured a little since the fucking 70s.
It's been 40 years. We've matured a little.
I think we've matured enough so that if a movie like Rocky Horror came out now, people would go see it, and it would make its money back, if not be a box office success. But I don't think it would come out and there would be no, groups of people going, shut down Rocky Horror, shut down Rocky Horror.
Well, the same people that were watching it then, that group of people is the same kind of group of people that extol the greatness of this film now. And it's kind of the outcast, in quotation, weirdos that like this movie.
Right. Regardless of how we look at everything full circle.
Right. Regardless of how we look at this movie, it's not mainstream at all. It is not Grease, which had over like 1 million Rotten Tomato user reviews. Or some insane figure. I want to say it was 1 million. This is not Grease. So this is a movie that appeals to a very specific subset of people.
I don't want to look it up, Chris, because I don't want to ruin the What the Tomato Says segment, but can you look and see how many user reviews Rocky Horror has?
300,000.
It's not bad.
Grease has 1.2 million.
Oh, yeah, okay.
See what I mean? I think that the subject matter of the film is the reason that this film doesn't appeal to everybody. Or the perceived subject matter of this film. It's weird. I've heard it's weird.
There are other films that are campy and weird and kind of off the wall, like Naked Gun is a movie that's not for everybody. It's a little hard to follow. Some of the jokes don't land with everybody. And
the cop satire show movie?
The show, the movie, really. I mean, I'm not comparing the two, but I'm just as another cult film.
Mm-hmm.
I think Freaked was an apt comparison.
I think Freaked is an apt comparison, but Freaked is far, I think on the spectrum.
Freaked is farther down.
Yeah, then Naked Gun
Freaked is like, well, Freaked is farther down than even Rocky Horror.
I wouldn't go that far.
I would say that Freaked has probably less of an audience. I think it has less marketing than Rocky Horror does, and so Rocky Horror is a more successful cult film.
Let me put in perspective, the user ratings for Freaked on Rotten Tomatoes is 6,000. I mean,
6,000 user reviews?
Yeah, that is
fair enough.
That is astoundingly small.
Mm-hmm.
Let's stop talking about kind of the social ramifications of the film. Let's talk a little bit about the performances. What did you guys think overall of the kind of the main cast of characters in the film?
Everyone
was great except for Susan Sarandon.
What was wrong with Susan Sarandon?
You're gonna get run out of town, John.
Listen, when she's not singing, she's great. My problem is her singing voice is a little. We talked about Ellen Green's vocals in Little Shop of Horrors. How her talking voice was really obnoxious, but her singing voice was good. It's like the opposite for me. For Susan Sarandon in this. Her talking voice is fine and normal, and she sounds like a normal human being, but when she sings, it's like really obnoxious. And like, I don't know, I can't do it because I'm pretty
sure Susan Sarandon just guessed it on this podcast for a second.
I just didn't have any real problem with it, but when it's combined with all of the other performances in Rocky Horror, her vocal performance was a little bit grating to me, personally.
I thought she was hamming it up everybody was hamming it up, and everybody bought into it. I don't know, I didn't feel that way. I thought really everybody kind of knocked it out of the park. I would say probably my least favorite performance was Rocky. That's
because he wasn't even singing.
He has one song when he first gets born.
Yeah, but he doesn't sing it. He lip syncs it, and somebody else sings it dubbed over.
Right, but his section is, I would say, probably the least entertaining for me over Susan Sarandon's grating kind of opera voice.
Okay, but you just admitted I'm not wrong. You just overlook it because you enjoy the movie, right?
No, I'm not. I'm overlooking it because I think it was part of the performance. I mean, she was out there to be over the top and kind of a caricature of what's her face from Grease. I've never seen Grease, so
I like everybody in this movie. It's even like the smaller parts, like Charles Gray, who plays the criminologist. I think I love that character. The criminologist is great. Meatloaf as Eddie has he's in what, 2 scenes and a voiceover?
He's in 1 scene, and then the second scene that he's in is a model dummy of him
that they're eating.
Which, by the way, the rest of the cast, except for Tim Curry, didn't know that model was made and put under the table.
So it was a legit reaction.
Right, so when he yanks the tablecloth off the table, they all freak out.
That's awesome.
That is pretty cool.
And, don't forget that this is actually, we've talked about Tim Curry as Frankenfurter, but this is Tim Curry's first film. So that's a hell of a film to start with.
Yeah.
Especially given his performance in it.
He goes for the gusto, and he played in the Rocky Horror stage play as Frankenfurter. So when he met Richard O'Brien, which I think it helps that some of the people in the film, like Tim Curry, were originally involved with the stage play. Because
that's an interesting thing to me is how many of these musical movies that we're watching this month that are cast with people from the original play,
which is great.
Right. I mean, Ellen Green was in the original Little Shop of Horrors,
and she still is in a 2015 revival that they did.
And Christian Campbell was in the original Reefer Madness, and he's trying to open a new production of it on Broadway where he's going to be in that too. And it's really interesting to me as we watch these musicals and research it and stuff and learn that a lot of the people involved in the film version are the people from the original cast because they care so much about the the product, the franchise,
right,
as a being.
Well, and so in the original London cast, it was Tim Curry as Frankenfurter, Patricia Quinn as Magenta, Columbia was played by Nell Campbell, Jonathan Adams played the criminologist, but then he was cast in the film as Dr. Everett Scott. So there's a lot of people involved with the film. I mean, Meatloaf was in a Broadway production of the film before he was in the movie as Eddie.
Mm-hmm.
So I really like that they have taken it upon themselves to consistently have these actors when they can get them in the films that were on stage. And obviously Richard O'Brien would play Riff Raff in the original and the film, and he wrote it. So,
and originally the Rocky Horror Picture Show movie was supposed to have a much bigger budget, but they offered Jim Sharman a larger budget so long as they cast bigger names and bigger musicians in the film. And he said, no, I want to keep as many of the people from the original stage production as I can. And they said, well, you can do that as long as we slash your budget pretty hard.
Right.
And he said, okay, and he kept the original cast in.
Which is awesome,
mm-hmm.
by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You can really tell, like Tim Curry and Richard O'Brien and Patricia Quinn. I mean, you can really, and Nell Campbell, even it shows that they'd been playing those characters for a while because, I mean, they just own those roles.
And they also have really great chemistry on screen together, as kind of the four aliens.
Yeah.
Well, I guess 3 aliens and 1 groupie. Because Columbia is technically not an alien.
Right.
So, I guess the big question is, what did you guys think of the music in the film?
Legendary. It was fantastic. Some of my favorite music, period, really.
Yeah, there are, I think, maybe one song that I'm not a huge fan of. That song being "I Can Make You a Man." I'm not a huge, really? I'm not a huge fan of it. It's good. It's not great.
That was one of the ones I liked most.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one I didn't like, it would be that Sword of Damocles one.
Oh.
Sword of Damocles.
Oh, come on. Woo.
See, now I'd say that, in my opinion, the worst song is Janet's Touch Me.
You guys are fucking awful at this.
You know what? I'm with you, because Susan Sarandon's singing.
Yeah, but you get that sweet shot of everyone, like, coming in super close on the camera.
Creature of the night.
Creature of the night! And then you get that... Right? You get sweet Nell Campbell with her super high-pitched voice.
Oh, man.
There's so many great things about this fucking movie. We can't even talk about all of them.
You really, truly, in your heart, in your soul, look deep inside yourself, Chris Stachiw. You honestly can sit here through the magic of internet and radio, tell me that you think I Can Make You a Man is a worse song than the Sword of Damocles.
Yeah, I like Sword of Damocles.
You're awful. You are bad
and
at this.
And I've got a feeling that I'm gonna be cutting the thread. Oh, so good.
It's so annoying.
I Can Make You a Man is
woe is me.
It's like the most epic ballady version of any of the songs in the movie.
What?
I can make you a man.
No, the best ballad in the movie, hands down, I'm Going Home.
Yeah,
I
fucking love that song.
It's more, that one
or even science fiction double feature. Those are both technically ballads.
I'm not a huge fan of science fiction double.
Oh, God damn this!
Listen.
On. I like the headphones down.
Listen, I like the lyrics. I think it's an interesting song, but I'm not a huge fan of the decision to make the entire opening credits just floating lips.
I like the lyrics of Whisper in Your Ear, but God,
what?
Come on.
I don't know what that song is.
Yeah, me either.
Okay. Really? Nobody knows that song?
I know Whisper to a Scream.
Nobody knows the song Whisper in Your Ear.
Okay, in the version that
twins.
In the version that you guys watched, did it have the song in between the Time Warp reprise and the science fiction double feature reprise.
Superheroes?
Yes.
Great song.
Which one is that? Hum a bar.
And superheroes come to feed. You really?
Is
They're
that
like
the one where they fall in the pool?
No, that's when they're
that's
crawling.
the one.
They're crawling around in the smoke.
After the castle lifts up and they fly away.
Oh yeah. Okay, the very end one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all crawling around in like really bad smoke.
That song is one of my favorite. It's so good, and it's barely a song. It's like 45 seconds. And crawling on the planet's face, some insects called the human race, lost in time and space and meaning. It's so good. I don't know why I don't like I Can Make You a Man. I feel like it slows down the movie. It does, and that's the point of it. And I know that's why you went,
I don't know. No, I don't even know if that's the point of it, but I don't know if I think it slows it down, and Sword of Damocles doesn't.
Sword of Damocles has Rocky being chased by Frankenfurter.
Yeah, but it's
being to the music of a fucking terrible song.
Oh, God. Go away. I know Zach will back me up on this one, that Sword of Damocles is not a bad song, right?
I don't mind the song. I mean, it's not my favorite, but it's far from the worst in the movie.
The finale of both films are pretty disparate. So before we get to Shock Treatment, we talk about that film. What did you guys think of the last couple songs and the big kind of finale of Rocky Horror?
From the cabaret show to the end.
From Rose Tint My World on.
There's some great music in that sequence. If you're not, it is a little hard to kind of follow what's going on, in the plot, but I mean, that's certainly one of the more memorable parts of the movie, especially the actual cabaret show. Plus I'm Going Home is in there, as a song, which is just out of this world fantastic.
And so is Rose Tint My World, which is such a great song.
It is a great song. That is a fantastic part of the movie. I wouldn't say it's my favorite part of the movie.
What is your favorite part of the movie?
I love the beginning from after they enter the house till right before Rocky is born. That whole sequence when they watch the time warp dance and then right after Sweet Transvestite. That is just so memorable. And should we have saved that possibly for the very end of the podcast when we say favorite scene? Okay, sorry.
I mean, that's probably my favorite portion of the movie too, is between the portion between There's a Light and Sword of Damocles is probably my favorite part of the movie. And then there are chunks in the middle and end portion that I enjoy, and there's no parts that I don't like, but it definitely doesn't stand up to that first portion where they're first meeting all the weird transvestites and sort of
they're not all transvestites.
No, but they're all at least followers of the transvestites in
That's the first folks on the Kulturecast, transvestite followers.
But they're like groupies of Frankenfurt.
Right.
And when Brad and Janet are meeting the groupies and sort of talking about, oh, maybe they're foreigners, maybe they'll sing more folk music, that portion of the movie is probably my favorite.
It's just a hunting lodge for rich weirdos. Oh my God. I swear, Barry Bostwick in the movie is so great. What about you, Zach?
I probably would agree with John pretty much from when they arrive at Frankenfurter's place. I mean, up until probably after everything from there until even I guess I like pretty much everything from that point on. I mean, there's really not much I dislike. After that point,
the hour-long sequence from 30 minutes into the movie until the ending credits is your favorite portion?
Well, I mean, there's nothing in that end part that I don't like. I mean,
I really like the end. It's a little bit of a downer. The end is when Frankenfurter dies and Rocky dies and Nell.
Spoilers.
Yeah, well. Okay. The statute of limitation on this film, as we've already discussed, is, what, 4 years?
I doubt there's very many people
Spoiler
that are
statute of
watching.
limitations is 4 years for the Kulturecast.
Well, if you're listening to this, I hope you've seen the movie.
Well, and I doubt there's very many people that are like, nudging their friends, holding the remote, like, hey, rewind that. I didn't catch that line that he said. Like it's a fucking detective show. I mean, you don't really watch this movie for its plot.
Yeah. I really like the end of the film, but again, it is kind of a downer. If you watch the extended version with superheroes, which is my favorite version of the film, since there's 2 versions, technically. It does have a downer of an ending, because they're all just kind of like in the grass and the dirt, kind of rolling around. Completely changed by Frankenfurter.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the idea that they will never be the same again.
Yeah, they were all...
And it's just a bummer of an ending. But I overlooked that because the movie's awesome. And it's not like the characters are getting eaten by giant plants. So...
That's fair.
That's fair. So, Mark, skip it or watch it, best performance, and favorite song.
Watch it. Watch it multiple times. Watch it alone. Watch it with friends. If you can find a theater that plays it live and has audience participation, please, God, go there. It is well worth your money and time. And if they offer a goodie bag, buy it. To throw shit at the screen, because that's half the fun. I love Nell Campbell as Columbia. I've always, from the first time I saw the movie, I love that character. There's just something about her and the way she conducts herself and talks. It's just hypnotic. I don't know. She just knocks that out of the park. My favorite song, I had planned on saying Sweet Transvestite going into this thing, but after I watched it again, last night, just to refamiliarize myself with the movie. And I'm Going Home. I forgot how awesome that song is. I would say that's probably my favorite song in the movie.
Have you seen Blue Skies Through the Tears in Your Eyes?
No.
Everything about that song is great. Just so great. And then he dies.
By getting shot with a laser.
Right.
And then Rocky picks him up and climbs up the fucking radio tower.
King Kong style.
Uh-huh.
Zach, what about you?
That's tough on performance. I guess I'm just going to have to say Tim Curry as Frankenfurter. He's without a doubt my favorite part of this movie. Like, he owns that role. He hams it up so much, and it's just so fun to watch because you can just tell just how good of a time he's really having playing that role. For watch it or whatever, definitely watch it. Like Mark said, I'm out of order here, but whatever. It's fine. It's cool. Definitely watch it. Like Mark said, go see it at a midnight showing. This is one of those movies I'm going to say, like Little Shop, go out and buy it. Like, buy the movie, if you want a digital, if you want a DVD, the Blu-ray, it doesn't matter. You should own it and watch it and enjoy it. If you love the music, get the soundtrack. It's one of those things, you support something like this if you love it that much. And then, see, for favorite song, that's also a tough one. I think that I'm gonna have to go with, Rose Tint My World is probably my favorite song.
For me, and there was something I wanted to mention, John, and I wanted to gauge your thoughts on it. Do you think if you had seen the film before seeing the play, your opinion would be different? Or maybe I don't know. I feel like out of the 4 of us, you saw Rocky Horror the latest.
Here's what I think it would have changed. Okay, if I had seen the film, if I had seen it alone, if I hadn't seen anything for it until this podcast, I might not have enjoyed the movie as much as I did. Just because watching it alone, especially watching it alone for the first time, it definitely suffers from not having the audience. If I had watched it for the first time in a theater with the audience, I would have enjoyed it probably as much, but I think I still would have preferred the stage version. just because, again, the actors and the talent and having Frankenfurter walk up to someone sitting in front of you and gyrate in their face is pretty fucking awesome. I just think I would still prefer the stage version over the film, even if I had seen the film before the stage version. Just because there's that extra layer of participation in it.
And to be fair, I think the only way to see this film is to see it with an audience. I think watching this film by yourself does the film a total disservice. That being said, I would say watch it, and I'm with everyone else in agreement that if you can see it somewhere live, be it a stage production or just a midnight showing, search it out. Do it. You'll even if you've seen the film 100 times at home, there is something so inherently great about sitting in an audience with a bunch of people that are there for the same reason, to watch Rocky Horror. Going to the movies, I'm not a huge fan of the theater experience as it is in the 21st century. It's a little sterile. But there's something to be said for going to a movie theater and everyone there just loving it and being totally into it. Best performance, everyone's already taken so many. I mean, there's so many good ones.
Is there really a bad one?
No, there isn't. I'm going to have to go with Barry Bostwick as Brad Majors. I love how he plays the straight man, no pun intended, throughout the entire film, up until the end when even in Rose Tint My World, he's kind of lamenting who he's become. It's beyond me. Help me, mommy. Holy shit. Bro, you had sex with Frankenfurter. Kind of game over. My favorite song in the movie. Man, I talked with you yesterday about this, John. This is hard.
Sure you don't want to say Sword of Damocles?
No, I like it. I like it, but it's not my favorite. And fuck you, by the way. Fuck you very much, Mark. I'm going to have to go with There's a Light over at the Frankenstein place. Just, you get that refrain of riff-raff, and that's the first time you see anything weird in the movie, is this weird hunchback guy sitting in the window singing in a really high falsetto voice. And then that's juxtaposed with Janet and Brad who are walking up to the house. And there's something about that song that I really like. My favorite musical moment in the film, though, is the final refrain at the end of Rose Tint My World, where Riff Raff and Columbia show up in their, or I guess Riff Raff and Magenta show up and they look like aliens. And his weird couple of lines in the song are just great. Hey, Richard
doesn't have a hunchback anymore.
Yeah, and he's got this weird ponytail thing. Richard O'Brien, he's an absolute genius. What do you guys think the Rotten Tomato meter is at for Rocky Horror Picture Show?
That's tough to gauge.
That is tough. I'm gonna say 40.
40 critic?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 65 critic, because I think it's gonna have a lot more positive critical reviews more recently than from when it first came out. Yeah. But I'm gonna say user review is gonna be 92.
I'm gonna say, for user, not to cut back in, I'm gonna say 87.
What about you, Zach?
I gotta go with, I'm gonna say 57 for critic and 89 for fan.
79% for critic, 86% for audience.
God damn.
And a lot of those critic ones are recent.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, like we said, this film flopped when it originally came out.
Yeah, I'd be interested to read critic reviews from 1975.
There's this movie is bad, real bad. And, again, to their credit, I can see them hating this movie, understandably so.
Oh, yeah.
So, speaking of a film that everybody hated, the sequel to Rocky Horror. A lot of people don't even know there's a sequel to Rocky Horror.
It's so offensive to even call it a sequel. I mean, it's a spiritual sequel.
It's a sequel. It has the same characters in it.
It doesn't really.
No. I was going to say,
it has a generational gap version of the character.
Mind you, John is going to fight me on this.
I am going to fight all of you on this because I like Shock Treatment.
What?
Right. Shock Treatment came out in 1981. It was directed again by Jim Sharman, who directed Rocky Horror. It features Richard O'Brien and Jim Sharman teaming up again to write the screenplay. Of the characters that return from Rocky Horror, Janet Majors, Brad Majors, and the criminologist who in this film has been given a name. Aside from the criminologist, they've been recast. Jessica Harper plays Janet, Cliff DeYoung plays Brad. Richard O'Brien, Patricia Quinn, and Nell Campbell are in this film as different characters. They all have interactions with one another. And the IMDb synopsis is Janet and Brad become contestants on a game show, but wind up as captives instead.
That's very good. Hello, I'm Dr. Cosmo McKinley. I'd like to tell you about a new film from the gang that gave you the Rocky Horror Show. Shock treatment. You'll be pathetically crazy about shock treatment. Trust me, I'm a doctor.
Mark, what did you think of the film? And was this your first time watching it?
This was not my first time watching it. I watched it once a long time ago, and after I'd seen Rocky Horror and found out, oh, hey, there's a sequel. It's got to be just as awesome and fun and filled with transsexuals as the last one. And it was not. Oh, God. This movie's awful. It's just bad. And it's sad because Richard O'Brien is incredibly talented and funny. And this is just, I learned that there was it happened during a SAG strike. So, I mean, that definitely, goes against it a bit, but none of the music is memorable. The plot is just hard to follow and awful and bad. The dialogue is really bland and it's just a bad movie.
What about you, Zach?
I will, basically say what Mark said. But a little bit faster. So it was my first time watching the movie, and my feelings on the movie are simply fuck this movie.
I don't even know what to say to that. Well, what about you, John?
This was the first time that I'd seen this movie. I had never watched the Rocky Horror movie, so I had never researched at all whether or not there was a sequel. And much like the people that made this movie, I think saying it's a sequel and not its own film is probably hurts the movie. I think, yes, it does have two characters named Brad and Janet, but they are so clearly not the same people, because if you assume that this is before Rocky Horror, then they would go into Rocky Horror different than they are, and they're already married in Shock Treatment, so it can't be a prequel. And if you assume it's a sequel after the fact, they wouldn't be having, emotional anxiety issues because they'd be running around doing whatever crazy shit they wanted. So it can't be a sequel. It's totally a generational version of them, because where Rocky Horror is a commentary on the sexual repression and identity of the 50s and 60s, Shock Treatment is a critique and sort of parody satire of the materialistic obsession of the 70s and 80s, where, it makes fun of shows like Leave It to Beaver, where, our house is perfect and there's no family troubles, and anything that is because they're not men, the house is filled with things that are advertisements. Every show is produced by other shows. The news is in the beginning of Shock Treatment, they have a segment where the criminologist and one of the news reporters, Betty Hapschatt, talk about the sort of brainwashing propaganda of the channel that they're working on, and then they get fired immediately because in the culture of the 70s and 80s, actual news was getting phased out and replaced by shit like, sitcoms and stuff. Musically and stylistically, this film feels really similar to Rocky Horror Treatment. It's a little surprising to me that you guys like Rocky Horror and not Shock Treatment, because the only real difference I can find is that some of the actors are different, and it's a satire of a different thing. So it doesn't use the horror B format. It uses the television sitcom format to make a commentary on a different thing. But it still has insane characters that are really weird and not, really specifically any one gender or behavioral norm. It's got the same sort of rock ballad musical stylings because it's music made by the same guy. Brad and Janet are essentially the same characters as far as their starting out persona going through a different mind-altering set of experiences. And it ends on a fucking downer note too, because all of the fucking audience members of the town end up following after the bad guy because he wins. Despite the fact that Janet and Brad try and sort of expose him as being a manipulative sack. And there's some music in the movie that's also not great. There's more aspects of shock treatment that I didn't enjoy than there are in Rocky Horror. The ending is pretty fucking lackluster as far as its music is concerned. But I think that overall, the film is spiritually very similar to Rocky Horror. And I think that if you like Rocky Horror, I'm surprised you don't like shock treatment at all.
That was a really long answer.
Well, I mean, I'm the only person that liked it, so I have to explain my thoughts without you guys interrupting.
I think what you're doing, John, is you're putting up a defensive wall immediately.
Oh, yeah. I am.
Oh, no,
A defensive wall.
He fucking knows it's coming.
Evasive maneuvers.
This shit.
Saddle up, motherfucker. Yeah, right, dude.
I'm just going to take my headphones now and let you guys talk for a while.
All right, go time, dude.
For me, I wish that this had nothing to do with Rocky Horror.
It doesn't. I mean,
except for
you got your wish.
I know. I wish that this had no one involved that was involved with Rocky Horror. Like, I wish Richard O'Brien had nothing to do with this, that Jim Sharman had nothing to do with this, and this was just made on its own as its own satire of the state of the world in the 80s. Late 70s, early 80s. Would you have
liked it if you hadn't been expecting Rocky Horror?
No, I wasn't expecting Rocky Horror. I was expecting something as genius as Rocky Horror from Richard O'Brien. And this movie is not genius at all. It's filled with strange performances for strange sake that aren't likable or memorable. The character of Bert Schnick is quite possibly one of the most obnoxious characters I've ever seen. He does nothing but take up time on screen and is obnoxious every time he opens his mouth to say something. The actress who plays Janet, she's okay.
Has a much better singing voice than Susan Sarandon.
Yeah, but singing voice is only a third of the part of her role as Janet. She's not likable. She's given kind of a raw deal because Janet is given more to do in this movie, but the actress is less interesting in her performance than Susan Sarandon. You can see Susan Sarandon's character's arc in Rocky Horror. In this movie, it's just kind of like she's being manipulated and then she's not anymore and she stops buying into it. Farley Flavors, because that's a name that exists in film.
You have an issue with Farley Flavors and not Frank N. Furter?
I have a problem with the character whose name is...
That is a valid point. I'll support shock treatment is that point.
His name just, I don't know why it bothered me. It's just Farley Flavors. Something just so stupid.
I do agree though. Frank N. Furter is a pretty stupid name.
I mean, that's his name just so they can have that one line of "You're a hot dog, but damn you if you hurt her" or something like that. Whatever it actually is.
You're a hot dog, Frank, and yeah. I know that they made this film with the best of intentions, but it just, I really don't honestly have an opinion on it. I don't like it or dislike it. I don't even hate it. It's just, And that, for me, is the worst possible situation you can be in as a film, when I don't have an opinion. Because if I don't have an opinion, then that means I really don't care. Looking at some of the stuff about the movie, Richard O'Brien, who helped write the film, has completely disowned the film. Which, that's not something that happens very often with films, where people involved with creating it are like, I'm disowning this completely.
I mean, it actually happens pretty often. Especially when they're weird movies like this. I mean, it happened with Jack Black and Tenacious D. After Jack Black did Tenacious D and he watched it fail in box offices, he said he was never going to write his own scripts for movies again.
Yeah, but at least Tenacious D has some, and by some I mean a lot of redeeming qualities. I can see why, as a writer, Richard O'Brien said, "I want nothing to do with this movie."
I mean, my assumption is that he says he wants nothing to do with this movie because everybody
bad.
says they hate it.
And not everybody hates it, because it has a similar, not as strong following from the cult community, from the midnight movie community. But my big condemnation of the film, if I have one, is that the music is not memorable in any form or fashion. The music is just bland, formulaic, and not memorable. And for a musical, if your music isn't memorable, then you have failed, in my mind. And that is the biggest failure of this movie for me, is the music is not memorable at all. Thinking about it now, I think the only song that I can think of that sticks out to me is Bitchin' in the Kitchen. And Denton, USA, only because Denton is where I went to school, where the film was supposed to be set and filmed.
Well, the reason why it wasn't is because of the SAG strike.
Yeah. But I find that humorous, that this is, Denton, USA. But
I don't really get that for the music. I like Bitchin' in the Kitchen, Thank God I'm a Man, Farley's song where he's like, you're looking at a fucking ace.
But that's
Little
three
Black
songs.
Dress.
Yeah, Little Black Dress is a good one too.
No, it wasn't.
I liked it.
Mark wasn't saying it was good.
Oh, zip, zip, zip.
It sounded a lot like Time Warp to me. Interesting that you don't like Time Warp, and I mean that you like Time Warp and don't like Little Black Dress.
You know what the problem is here with this film? Is if given a choice between this and Rocky Horror, I would just watch Rocky Horror and not watch this.
Yeah, but
this just feels like a second-rate Rocky Horror.
I mean, given a choice between Grease and this, I would watch this. That's not a statement of really a problem with the film. Saying Rocky Horror is better than Shock Treatment, I agree with that statement, but that doesn't mean that Shock Treatment is bad.
I spent a significant amount of time, and I sent you a text. This might have been, and I've went on and lengthened articles, and I've said before on this podcast, I'm not a fan of most movies. This may be, honest to God, probably my least favorite movie I've seen. And I was racking my brain, honestly, trying to think of other bad movies. And the only one I could come up with was Elektra. And I think this is worse than Elektra because the music is so forgettable and irritating that almost makes it worse, because not only are you bored and confused, you're also pissed off because you have to listen to songs like Little Black Dress, anyhow.
Okay. You know what? Okay. So for me, and I don't know if Zach and Mark can get behind this, and maybe John, you can get behind this too. This to me feels like a similar conversation we had last month about Hannibal. It follows a film that is widely revered by a lot of people, Silence of the Lambs in Hannibal's case, Rocky Horror Picture Show in this case, and it features some of the same characters, some of them recast, like in Hannibal, like in this film, that at the end of the day, it feels like a missed opportunity to tell an interesting story with some of the characters. The reason a true sequel to Rocky Horror was not made, mind you, this could be a spiritual sequel, equal sequel, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Whatever you want to call this movie, fine. The fact of the matter is that this film was what they did because they couldn't get Tim Curry to be Frankenfurter again. And they couldn't tell a story with Frankenfurter again. So they focused on Brad and Janet, who were not the best part, for the most part, of Rocky Horror. Even though I'm a huge fan of Barry Bostwick in the film, he's not the most exciting part of the movie. They couldn't get Tim Curry back to do Frankenfurter, so they made a movie about Brad and Janet. And if this had been a sequel to Rocky Horror in the traditional sense, where it featured Frankenfurter coming back, because if a character dies in the first movie, they're miraculously brought back in the second one somehow. If this had been a legit sequel to the film, in the most traditional sense, I think we'd be having a different conversation about this film. However, this is a missed opportunity because the pieces didn't come together in the way that they wanted them to. So instead we get a second-rate story about Brad and Janet that feels kind of like Rocky Horror in a way, but every time you kind of get that hint of Rocky Horror, it does its own thing, which normally is fine, but for me, being a fan of Rocky Horror, this feels like a missed opportunity to tell a Rocky Horror Picture Show sequel, and instead it has this Brad and Janet story.
If you're dead set on making a movie about Frankenfurter, and if from the get-go you say, we need Tim Curry, can we get him? Yes or no? No? Okay. Then you don't make the movie. If you go on then to make your own thing, make your own thing. Don't try and mishmash, Rocky Horror with this thing. I don't even know I don't even know what to call this movie.
But it's made by the same two guys, so stylistically it's going to be similar despite the fact that it's not really Rocky Horror. I mean, you can't look at, this is shitty because James Cameron sucks, but a movie that James Cameron makes, if he makes Titanic, and then he goes, I want to make a sequel to Titanic, but then it turns out that he can't get any of the cast members back or get the rights back for the movie, and he goes, okay, well, I'm going to do something else. You can still see stylistic similarities between the Titanic and fucking Avatar.
I'm not saying they can't make another movie another movie about Frankenfurter without Tim Curry, but if your precedent is, like Chris is saying, we need Tim Curry, okay, well, let's set out to make a Rocky Horror sequel, then don't do it. Stylistically, it's fine if you want to, put your own kind of signature on the film or on the music. I would have much rather see them take a style cue from something like American Horror Story does now, where each thing is its own self-contained, entity. Instead, I mean, just that one little inclusion of Brad and Janet completely warps this entire movie. If Brad and Janet's name were Dave and Donna, I mean, I think that would affect a lot. Would I have
liked the film more if they had changed the names of Brad and Janet?
I think I would be giving it a glowing review. Yes. No, I would have. I think that affects the movie, though, in a lot of people's eyes. I think that does affect the opinion of it.
I think that the film isn't great on its own, and then the fact that it has this kind of, as opposed to forward association with Rocky Horror, this kind of sideways association with Rocky Horror, I think that for fans of Rocky Horror hurts the film. But again, for me, it feels like this missed opportunity. And, we can always play the what if game. What if Tim Burton had made the Superman movie with Nicolas Cage? What would we be talking about now for superhero movies? What if they had been able to get Tim Curry for a true Rocky Horror sequel? What would have happened then? I mean, it's a sad situation to be in when we're sitting here talking about what ifs, and look what the end product was, even though it wasn't what we wanted it to be, or it has some characters but not all the characters, it has some of the actors, not all the actors. I think that this film suffers from that. I don't think this film is bad because it has to do with Rocky Horror. I don't really have an opinion on this movie one way or another, because I just don't think it's that great of a movie, but it's not that bad of a movie. It's kind of a non-issue movie. It's kind of there.
I think it comes down to, at least for me, I think that watching Rocky Horror immediately before this may have tainted my opinion. As far as the casting goes, with you mentioning them getting Tim Curry back, if Wikipedia is to be believed, then it says they offered Tim Curry the role of Brad, but he declined, and I think that had he done the movie and been Brad, I think that would have almost been worse.
Well, yeah.
Simply because it would have been such a stark contrast and change from Brad in the first movie. Not that, this should be playing off the first movie, but ultimately, I think it's like what Chris said, and the thing that kills the movie most for me, the movie's not strong on its own, as Chris already mentioned, but I think also the fact that the music is just nowhere near as good. And again, as Chris already said, when you're a musical and you're a musical and you don't get your music right, then I mean that's going to kill you right there. Because I mean, this thing could have been a subpar movie, but if it had music, if it had the same quality music like Rocky Horror had, or it had the quality of music like Little Shop had, then we'd be having a totally different conversation. Because you can have a musical that's a bad plot with great music and still enjoy it. The fact this movie had kind of a bad nonsensical plot and bad unmemorable music is really what makes it a bad movie, at least in my eyes.
I'll take your soapbox and I'll slide it under the bed.
Well, I'd been quiet for a while. I had to say something. I mean,
I expected somebody to laugh at that. Sorry.
I laughed more at the non-laugh than a laugh at all.
I laughed at the soapbox thing, but my mic was muted because the dog was being weird.
Okay.
Anyway.
I wanted to like this movie because I like Richard O'Brien, but the music it fell flat. Performances we haven't even talked about the performances. And I know that, Mark and Zach are going to not have the best things to say. And I don't really like Jessica Harper as Janet. Cliff DeYoung doesn't get enough time to do anything as Brad because he's tied up half the movie.
Yeah. He's sitting in a chair, like, wiggling back and forth for 50 minutes.
And he does play Farley Flavors, but Farley Flavors isn't given a whole lot of time either on screen.
No, most of the time you see him, he's just standing there.
So Janet is the main character of the film, with Richard O'Brien playing Dr. Cosmo McKinley, who is essentially just a riff on Riff Raff. And same with Patricia Quinn's character of Dr. Nation McKinley. It just feels like a missed opportunity to me. And that's why I'm kind of bummed out about the movie.
I don't remember, even watching it less than 24 hours ago, there's just not a lot. It's not memorable. I don't remember a whole lot of it. There wasn't anything that stood out. You say, oh, hey, remember Riff Raff? And immediately that image comes into your head because he owned that character. And Richard O'Brien as Cosmo bought into it. I mean, he played his ass off in that role partially because it was his movie and his role. And definitely stood out amongst them. But if I say, hey, do you remember Bert Schnick? I mean, does the image of Bert Schnick immediately pop in your head as it would if I said, hey, do you remember Columbia from Rocky Horror?
Unfortunately, it does, but I'm trying to forget that character. I didn't like that character of Bert Schnick. And whatever he was going for, he may have achieved it, but it bothered me every time he was on screen talking.
You know what's interesting is Tim Curry's Frankenfurter initially had a German accent like that.
Right, and I'm glad that he didn't end up having that. Well, I don't know how much more there is to say about this movie. Nothing. There's not. We're just gonna wrap this up because this is not gonna go anywhere. We're at a stalemate here. So Zach, skip it or watch it. Best performance and best song.
Definitely skip it. I don't think it's necessary. Best performance. Really, I almost want to say. I'm just gonna go with Patricia Quinn as Dr. Nation McKinley. I mean, she's really one of the only characters I really remember. And much like Mark said, having not even been 24 hours since I saw the movie, her and Richard O'Brien are really the only two that I can remember. For best song, I mean, I'm sighing a lot here because it's like, I'm just going to have to go with Bitchin' in the Kitchen. Honestly, I don't remember a lot of the other songs. They're just so forgettable, and they just didn't stick with me because they just weren't that great. Which, I mean, like Chris said in the beginning, it's just so unfortunate because Richard O'Brien just really knocked it out of the park with Rocky Horror, and just the music in this is such a drop off from that I can kind of understand why he disowned this thing.
What about you, Mark?
I'm going to go. I'm gonna shoot here for a moment, and I'm actually going to. I've been sitting here in solitude, contemplating this answer, and I've come to the conclusion. I actually think you should watch this movie, and the reason being, you need to watch it prior to watching Rocky Horror, if it's your first time seeing Rocky Horror, if somehow you've missed that phenomenon, that is Rocky Horror, watch this movie first as an intro to familiarize yourself with the work of Richard O'Brien. He's a talent. He's a genius. And you can see how he tried so hard to make this work, and something just falls apart really early in the film, and they just never quite get back together. I mean, if you've seen Rocky Horror and you're listening to us talking about it, and this is your first time hearing about it, skip it. You'll hate it. Favorite actor, best performance, Richard O'Brien as Cosmo. His mannerisms, his personality, the way he presents himself on screen is just so unique, and I mean, I know I've been saying this entire time, it's, the movie as a whole is not memorable, but he himself is memorable as an actor in the way he handles himself on screen. Favorite song would probably have to be Shock Treatment. That song is actually pretty memorable, pretty catchy. Thank God I'm a Man. If you could take the last two lyrics of that song and somehow put them at the end of Shock Treatment, I think you'd have a pretty bitchin' song there.
What about you, John?
I'm gonna go with, if you are a fan of the style of Rocky Horror, I think you should watch it. Again, I don't really get how you can like Rocky Horror and not Shock Treatment, even if you think that the music isn't as great in Shock Treatment or the performances aren't as great. Stylistically, and as far as the content of the commentary and the satire, it talks about a different subject, but it's essentially the same style of film. So I'm not really sure how you like one and not the other, at least a little bit. So I think that if you're a fan of Rocky Horror Picture Show, you should check out Shock Treatment, because I think these guys are giving it a bad rap. I think if you don't like Rocky Horror Picture Show, you should definitely not watch Shock Treatment, because it's more of the same weird, sort of off-putting visuals. And Shock Treatment especially is very sterile looking, because it's a commentary on how clean and neat everything had to be in the 70s and 80s in the sort of ideal American household. And I think in general, if you haven't seen either, you should watch Rocky Horror Picture Show, and if you like Rocky Horror Picture Show, check out Shock Treatment. Because while I like Shock Treatment, it definitely is the lesser of the two. Best performance, I'm gonna go with Jessica Harper. I know Chris doesn't like her Janet Majors, but I really like her singing voice. I think she's a way better Janet than Susan Sarandon. I think that they give her more to do, and so you get to look at her more. You get to see her play Janet more, and so maybe you don't like it that way. But I think she does a much better job with singing than Susan Sarandon did, and I like her character arc in Shock Treatment. Best song, I think I have to go with Thank God I'm a Man, because that is the most clearly satirical song out of both films. I mean, Thank God I'm a Man is literally an old white dude pushing a lawnmower across a green carpet that is supposed to look like grass as he wears a military combat helmet, singing a song about what men should do and what they shouldn't do. And, Zach mentioned the last two lines of Thank God I'm a Man, and they are the kind of thing that if someone said that on the news in this day and age, they would be crucified. And I think their inclusion into the end of Thank God I'm a Man just solidifies the fact that Richard O'Brien thinks that the way that culture looks at manhood is absurd. And I think I enjoy him pointing that out to us as the viewer.
For me, I'm going to say watch it just so you can formulate your own opinion. Watch it if you're a fan of Rocky Horror. If you've never seen Rocky Horror before, I would watch this after watching Rocky Horror. Because if you watch this and don't like this, it's not going to do you any good it will possibly dissuade you from watching Rocky Horror. John said he doesn't know how someone who likes Rocky Horror could not like this movie, and I don't like or dislike this movie. I feel like a lot of people that like Rocky Horror are just going to have an opinion. like myself. That being said, my favorite performance from the film is probably going to have to be Charles Gray as the criminologist who's now Judge Oliver Wright. You get to see more of the criminologist who I really enjoyed in the first film. He still kind of hams it up as that criminologist character. Favorite song, Denton USA, just because I think it's a weird condemnation of the pop culture society of the early 80s. And it's catchy. But overall, I think that this movie is going to be really, and has been really, divisive for the Rocky Horror community. So, that being our opinions, what do you guys think the tomato meter is at for the film?
I'm going to go with, knowing what Rocky Horror was, I'm going to go 40-33.
I think I'm going to go... Oh.
Sorry.
I think I'm going to go... Hang on. Okay, I'm going to go with 40, I think, is a good critic consensus. That seems about where I think they'd be, especially considering that I doubt it has nearly as many reviews as Rocky Horror does. User, I'm going to say 65. I'm going to bet that the user reviews are lower than Rocky Horror, but I think they're still above 50.
I'm going to say 32 for critic and 53 for user.
40% for critic, which is rotten. 62% for audience. And that's out of 8,000 user reviews. So around about the same amount as Freaked.
How many critic reviews?
5. But it was critically panned when it came out. So I think this is the most split we've been on a movie in a while.
Yeah, the last time it was that comedy movie about the end of the world that I can't remember the name of.
Oh, It's a Disaster. But we haven't had a disagreement on a movie in a while. Not like this, anyways. So.
What was the one that... Oh, Yashar. Nope, it was Way of the Gun that I liked and you and Yashar didn't.
That's right. So, before I plug next week, Zach, hold on. Before I talk about what we're... Zach, before I wrap this up, is there anything you'd like to plug?
Just my typical stuff. I mean, I'm doing the NXT review over on the 3 Count section of the site. I also appear on our Running the Ropes podcast, which we just recently recorded the SummerSlam just a couple weeks ago. And then you can follow me on Twitter at CultureZact.
What about you, Mark?
You can find me also over on our award-winning podcast, Running the Ropes. We do that after every pay-per-view. You can also find me on the Miiverse at Aeropause. Let's play Splatoon sometime. I'm pretty good at it.
Did our Running the Ropes podcast win an award?
Yeah, the Kids' Choice Award.
Yeah, dude.
I just wanted to clarify.
the Marc Hall Award of Excellence.
The 35th annual Marc Hall.
Marc Hall, We Be Castin' Podcast Awards. John, what about you?
Well, my Twitter is JohnLeon1, the number 1, not the word 1. We got the Chronicles from the Crypt cast, which is entertaining and fun and cool, especially if you like Chronicles from the Crypt. We have more Kulturecasts coming out. They're always cool, even when I don't agree with anyone else on them. And we got lots of interviews for this month, including Christian Campbell from Reefer Madness and Jack Black from Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny.
As for me, you can find me on Twitter at CultureStash. And we are on Facebook and Twitter. Culture Shocked is. And like John said, make sure to listen to the Kulturecast and Chronicles from the Crypt.
Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
And next Monday, we're going to be talking about Stage Fright, which is a proper horror musical, not just horror in quotations. And we're actually going to be joined by Eli Battalion and Jerome Sable. They wrote the film and Jerome Sable directed it. And they're going to be guest co-hosting the podcast with us. So I'm really looking forward to that.
How'd you do, I see you've met my faithful hand in hand. He's just a little brought down because when you knocked, he thought you were the candy man. Don't get strung up by the way I look. Don't judge a book by its cover. I'm not much of a man by the light of day, but by night I'm one hell of a lover. I'm just a sweet transvestite from transsexual Transylvania.